Hi, welcome to Keto Akiva. Welcome to the channel. So today what I wanted to do was to just give more of an informative video, touch base on something that I think is important for starting the ketogenic diet, and also just something to know about buying products on the ketogenic diet and on your keto way of life. So thank you for coming by, and let's get right into it. What I want to talk to you about is at first sweeteners and fibers. So for sweeteners, when you're going to buy especially pre-made keto products, there's certain sweeteners that are good for keto and other ones that are bad for keto. And then there's some that are fine for keto, but health-wise, it's all personal and depends on how you view them. But the best ones for keto are erythritol, stevia, and xylitol. Now, erythritol is my favorite, or monk fruit sweetener. When people say monk fruit sweetener, they're talking about erythritol that has monk fruit extract in it, usually. And this is great. It has no glycemic effect, which means it's not going to affect your blood sugar in any way. And it tastes good. Like you could taste it on its own, which is something that I appreciate more, because if I take something like sucralose and taste it on its own, or stevia, I think it tastes kind of bad a little bit. The next one that my wife loves the best, and that's her favorite, is xylitol. Xylitol has a little bit of a glycemic effect, but it's still great for keto because it's not going to have very much of an effect, so you don't really have to count the carbs. So when these carbohydrates are listed as part of the total carbohydrates in a nutrition information label, but if you look at the if it says sugar alcohols, if you look at it and where it says sugar alcohols, and you look and you see that sugar alcohol is either erythritol or xylitol, you could delete it, you could subtract it, and then you also subtract the fiber, and then you'll be left with the net carbohydrates. The next one is maltitol. Now this is a bad one. Maltitol is very high glycemic, which means it's very close to the way that sugar reacts within your bloodstream, and it's best just to stay away from products that have maltitol, or if you're not going to stay away from it, then just don't, maybe it's like 70%, I think, but don't just discard the sugar alcohol amount in the label. Other ones, obviously, that are like aspartame, sucralose, these are okay. They're fine. I eat things that have them in it, and, they're okay. They're not, obviously, they can possibly have some negative health effects. They're not as natural, but they're fine for keto. They're not going to kick you out of ketosis. Stevia also is another great one. For me personally, I think that it has a very bad aftertaste. I don't like that aftertaste, but some way to mitigate that is to use erythritol and stevia at the same time. So if I'm baking something, I'll usually add a couple drops of stevia and erythritol, and what that allows is the erythritol kind of cancels out the aftertaste from the stevia, and using the stevia, which adds to some of the sweetness, allows me to use less erythritol, because erythritol has a little bit of a cool sort of taste. It's similar to mint, but not a mint flavor, but just like a cool sort of taste. So using erythritol in combination with stevia will give you a nice flavor that's not too cool. So on top of that, what I wanted to talk to you about is fibers. So there's all sorts of fibers that keto products use to bulk up the product, whatever it is. So inulin is a common one, or you'll see like in Quest bars, they use soluble corn fiber, or psyllium husk, flax meal. Like these will all give you fibers that can be deducted from the total carbs. So if you're counting net carbohydrates, let's say something has 25 carbohydrates and 20 of them are fiber, then you could subtract that, though that's, it's probably not ideal to have too much fiber, but let's say that's the amount, then you would be left with 5 fiber, and let's say it had 2 sugar alcohols that are erythritol or xylitol, you'd be left with 3 net carbohydrates. So that's how you calculate the net carbohydrates. And most of those fibers are fine. You could subtract them. But there's one fiber that used to be used by Quest, and that's isomalto-oligosaccharides, or IMOs. And these can't be just deducted for net carbohydrates because they are partially digested. Most other fibers, they just pass through you. but this particular fiber is partially digested. So because of that, you can't, it does have some sort of effect. So you have to count some, maybe 50% or some of the carbohydrates. Quest bars used to use these, and there was a lot of negative feedback and controversy around it. They switched to soluble corn fiber as a result. So personally, I stay away from products that have this fiber in it, and it's up to you. You can make that decision for yourself. Each person's ketogenic decisions and journey are going to be personal to them and what works for them. But I choose not to have them, and I think it just makes it easier. I know that there are some new bars that come out, like there's a company, No Sugar, that has Keto Bombs, and they have Keto Bars. So the Keto Bombs are great. They're 1 carb per, it's like a peanut butter cup, and they taste good. They don't have a lot of carbohydrates. They have pretty good ingredients, but they're bars that they use. They add this fiber. They use the isomaltol oligosaccharides. So I won't buy the bars, but I'll buy the Keto Bombs. So I think when you're looking at products, it's also good to be wise to this keto approved label, because some things that have a keto approved label won't necessarily be keto approved for you. And there's no like standard. It's not like an organic label. There's all these different keto approved labels. For one example, there's these peanut butter cups that are made with almonds. So they're almond butter cups. They sell them at Costco and in many other stores, at least in Canada. I don't know about in the States. And it says keto approved on it. So when you look at it, yeah, the ingredients aren't terrible, but it does have some sugar. But the actual, like, 1 cup is 5 net carbohydrates. So if I'm going to have like 1 chocolate cup be 5 carbohydrates, to me that's not keto approved. Like, that's pretty high carbohydrates, because personally I like to have 20 to 25 net carbohydrates a day. So I don't want to have a quarter of my daily carbohydrates going into 1 piece of chocolate. That doesn't sound keto approved to me. Also, there's a company called Susie's Good Fats, and I think they changed now, but for a while all their bars used to use isomaltol oligosaccharides, and they would still say keto approved. Keto approved is just a label that's kind of slapped on products that might just be low carb and not really so ideal for the ketogenic diet. So you have to decide what's good for you. Make sure to read labels, check that they don't have maltitol, don't have isomaltol oligosaccharides, and that the ingredients are keto approved for you. Thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you got some good information here, and I hope it was useful to you. Take care.